patients that between active loading with vitamin D, ivermectin, and zinc, that there is not a single person who has come anywhere near the hospital. And we already have studies that show that if you achieve a 25 hydroxyvitamin D level greater than 55, your risk of COVID-19 death will drop down to 1/4 of the population average for the United States. And there are active treatment trials included on that flash drive that show the same is true. So if you're going to discriminate based upon vaccine, you should also discriminate based upon 25 hydroxyvitamin D level, zinc taste test response, and probably previous infection, since there are also studies on that flash drive that show that people who have recovered from COVID-19 infection actually get no benefit from vaccination at all, no reduction in symptoms, no reduction in hospitalization, and suffer 2 to 4 times the rate of side effects if they are subsequently vaccinated. Therefore, the policies that you are basing on are totally counterfactual. I don't blame this board for that, because I know you aren't scientists and you've thought it was reasonable to listen to the CDC, NIH, and the Indiana State Board of Health. But I would encourage that instead you listen to the people out here in this audience and read what's on that data drive. And if anybody here in this board has any questions about anything on that, I will happily come back and sit with you individually if you would like to explain the science behind this. And if you're worried about being sued by somebody because you don't follow the guidance of the CDC and the NIH, I will tell you have a free pro bono expert testimony at your disposal. I will testify in defense of this board, turning down all these recommendations for free at any time in any court. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Dan Stock, 5777 West 7 North McCordsville, Indiana. To address your comment, gee, it's hard to believe we're 18 months in. 5777 West 7 North McCordsville, Indiana. To address your comment, gee, it's hard to believe we're 18 months into this and still having a problem, and I would suggest the reason we still have a problem is because we're doing things that are not useful, and we're getting our sources of information from the Indiana State Board of Health and the CDC, who actually don't bother to read science before they do this. I'm actually a functional family medicine physician. That means I am specially trained in immunology and inflammation regulation. And everything being recommended by the CDC and the State Board of Health is actually contrary to all the rules of science. So things you should know about coronavirus and all other respiratory problem, and I would suggest the reason we still have a problem is because we're doing things that are not useful, and we're getting our sources of information from the Indiana State Board of Health and the CDC, who actually don't bother to read science before.
The first card is the past, the second, the present. And the third is the future.
Huge California fire grows. Montana blaze threatens towns. California's largest single wildfire in recorded history continued to grow after destroying nearly 550 homes, while authorities in Montana ordered evacuations as a wind-driven blaze roared towards several remote communities. The dangerous fires are among some wildfires harder to fight in the American West. Scientists have said climate change has made the region much warmer and drier in the past 30 years and will continue to make the weather more extreme.
Yeah, they're just underground due to smoke here, we're gonna again rely on people.
Here, read this and tell me.
1 August out of the Cherokee, just to give you an idea of what the current water situation looks like at this level at Oroville at this time. There's the Oroville Dam here, the Ohio Power Plant down here, emergency spillway located over here, main spillway over.
Now here, look, he's carrying the egg.
Yeah. Seeing the other
He's
day.
carrying the egg, and he's planting the egg, putting the egg in the hive.
That one day there was only 2 or 3 of those
Yeah.
white
Yeah.
things.
Where does the water
Right.
go?